Now on Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com. An assassination at a Utah university leaves many mourning the loss of a political activist. And today marks 24 years since the 9/11 terrorist attacks, the country continuing to remember the lives lost. And as the U.S. marks the tragedy of 9/11, a world leader now facing backlash for his comparison of conflicts to the attacks.
And for your Thursday, we're looking for another sort of hot day today with highs sticking in the 90s. But if that's not for you, we do have a chance for rain. And we'll talk about all that in the weather coming up.
And Shiner now Camp below to get big-time wins in Week 3. We'll give you the full rundown on both games later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads. Welcome to your Thursday. We're commemorating 9/11 today, and there is a local event at the Habitat Restore. It's starting at 9 o'clock if you wish to make a local observation of this important date.
That's right, and I think I'm actually going to be there as well, so maybe come shake my hand or something like that. But if you're going to be heading out to that event, we're looking not too bad out there this morning in terms of the weather. Starting out the day a bit humid, that's for sure. It's 70 degrees right now in Victoria. We're no longer in the 60s, so I hope you all enjoyed that the last few mornings. But like I said, the dew point is only a degree off from the temperature right now, and that's bringing us a humidity of 97%. And technically, with humidity that high and also with the dew point back into near 70-degree range, and also the winds that are really calm to light out there this morning, we have a little bit of light patchy fog trying to form around the area. So just be careful if you're going to be hitting the roads. I think it's going to be pretty light, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few patchy areas somewhere out there that are a little bit thicker. So just be careful with that and use your low beam headlights if you see it. Otherwise, the fog that possibly out there, it's because, like I said, our winds are pretty calm to light out there. Earlier this morning, they were actually starting out of the southeast, and that's why the humidity is back, and that's also why our temperatures are back to about 70 and no longer 60. So if you're sending your kids out the door this morning, it's going to be just like it is right now, warm, humid, and mostly sunny. And we have a chance for rain today, and we'll look at those details next.
Charlie Kirk was shot and killed Wednesday. Kirk was speaking at a rally at Utah Valley University. Witnesses say one shot was heard and Kirk recoiled with blood coming from his neck. The shooting scene was quickly evacuated. Kirk's shooting is believed to be a targeted attack, and officials now say 2 people initially taken into custody have no ties to the deadly shooting. Kirk was a 31-year-old and a father of 2 who helped found Turning Point USA. We'll have more on Kirk later on Sunrise. At least 3 students were shot Wednesday afternoon at Evergreen High School in Colorado. One of those students has died and was identified as the shooter. He succumbed to a self-inflicted gunshot wound. During a press conference yesterday, Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says they made it clear that officers did not fire their weapons. The shooting was first reported at around 12:30 p.m., happening on school grounds both inside and outside of the school, complicating the investigation. Overseas, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is invoking today's anniversary of the September 11th attacks to justify Israel launching an attack inside Qatar this week. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has the latest from Washington.
Today marks 24 years since the September 11th attacks, and now Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is invoking 9/11 to justify Israel's strike in Qatar this week, targeting Hamas leadership. Netanyahu claims Israel's actions in the wake of the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, are no different than how the U.S. responded to global terrorism after September 11, 2001.
We did exactly what America did when it went after the terrorists, the Al-Qaeda terrorists, in Afghanistan, and after they went and killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. And we did so in Qatar, which gives safe haven. It harbors terrorists.
President Trump condemned the strike, which apparently failed to kill any top Hamas officials. Qatar, a key U.S. ally, firing back at Netanyahu's comments, writing, quote, "The false comparison to the pursuit of al-Qaeda after the terrorist attacks is a new miserable justification for its treacherous practices." Qatar now vowing to hold Netanyahu accountable. Meanwhile, tensions also rising in Eastern Europe after Russian drones invaded Polish airspace, prompting NATO to scramble fighter jets to shoot them down. Experts say the drones were deliberately targeted.
Besides just poking NATO in the eye, this is also testing NATO defenses to make sure that NATO is seeing things. So this is a test, a military test, but it was also a provocation politically.
It comes nearly a month after President Trump's summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Since then, Russia has ramped up deadly attacks on Ukraine. Poland's foreign minister saying, quote, Putin laughs at President Trump's peace efforts. Since Alaska, he's only intensified the war. I hope that Trump backs his words with action. Russia claims it did not plan to hit any targets in Poland, but many analysts say this is a clear sign that Putin wants to test the strength of the NATO alliance. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Today marks 24 years since the September 11th terrorist attacks. Anniversary commemorations for the terror attacks that killed nearly 3,000 Americans will take place in New York City, Virginia, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The National September 11th Memorial and Museum will hold a ceremony on the Memorial Plaza and focus on an in-person reading of the names by family members. President Donald Trump will commemorate the attacks at the Pentagon. The Field of Honor crew spent Wednesday evening placing flags to honor the lives lost on 9/11. Since the flags can't be lowered to half staff, a black ribbon was attached to each one as a symbol of remembrance. In all, 50 flags will fill the field, and they'll stay up through October 14th. Video of a clash over gender identity content in a Texas A&M children's literature class leads to an audit of every college in the system. Texas A&M President Mark Welsh fired senior lecturer Melissa McCool and College of Arts and Sciences Dean Mark Zoran and department head Emily Johansson. They were removed for approving content inconsistent with the course's description. A video online showed a student confronting a professor over LGBTQ-related content in the class. McCool is disputing her cause for termination and exploring legal options. And here are some of the top headlines in the Port Lavaca Wave. The Seadrift City Council accepts the resignation of Mayor Lori Thomas, and local Scouting America troops celebrate the 49th Fish-O-Ree. You can read these stories and more by going to portlavacawave.com. Remember, follow us on YouTube, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. The time now, let's get a look at our clock up here. It is 6:37 on our Thursday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. How one man's experiences illustrate the enduring impact of World War II.
This morning, the active manhunt continues for the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk. I'm Nicole D'Antonio in Washington with the latest on the investigation and reaction here in Washington.
And also coming up next after the break in the short-term forecast, you heard me say that we have a chance for rain again today. So coming up next, I'll tell you just when I think that rain might be here. Well, good morning, Crossroads. For your Thursday, the rain chances are back. Now, don't get all super duper excited because chance for rain today is only going to be at a low 20%. That's 20. And it's going to be mainly for the afternoon time because you're going to see all that here on your future tracker. Because starting out in the morning time, and actually for the rest of the day for that matter, it's going to be mostly sunny out there with a few passing clouds. So not completely sunny, but mostly sunny with a few passing clouds out there. I'm thinking coverage will be about 30% in terms of the clouds. But in the morning time, we will also have a 10% chance for rain, and that's going to go only for the immediate coast. So y'all might see one shower out there somewhere in the morning time. Otherwise, that chance for rain will pick up to 20%, like I said, and that's going to go for 11 a.m., 11, all the way up until about 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon, with the best chance today noontime to 2 p.m. because that's right around when spotty showers will start forming around our counties, mainly Highway 59 counties and south towards the coast, but can't rule out 1 or 2 in our northern counties. That will be forming off of daytime heating until about, like I said, 4 p.m., maybe 5 p.m. Rain activity will start cutting off and will look mostly clear for overnight tonight. But underneath the beaming Texas sun, for those that don't see rain today, looking at a bit of a warm one out there. Temperatures in the morning not too bad, upper 70s, but by noon we'll be looking about 90 degrees. But in the afternoon, I'm thinking low 90s, maybe mid 90s for some. I'm thinking 94 Victoria, which is 2 degrees above where we're supposed to be. And like I said, everybody else should be looking for mid 90s, except western counties in the upper 90s. So y'all stay safe in the heat. It will be a little hot out there, and that'll continue all the way into next week, actually. We'll look at that and the tropics next.
The Shiner Comanches looking to improve to 3-0 this week, facing the Poth Pirates, and the Comanches still have the star talent in wide receiver Jarvis Williams, and they got the running back Quincy Jones that have been outstanding here this season in their first two big Week 1 and Week 2 victories. But keep an eye as well on the quarterback Jake Simper. He's made a big impact there at the new quarterback spot, and he's made some big time plays to Jarvis Williams and Quincy Jones there running back. Now for Poth, they've beaten Jordanson there 20-19, and then Falls City 53-0, and they have a top receiver to watch out for in Ethan Harris. He's made some big time plays for the Pirates this season. And for Shiner, they still have two more non-district games after this one there on Friday night versus at Industrial and then at Luling the following week before they start district play on October 10th. Now over to tonight's action, where the El Campo Ricebirds will face the Doles Vikings there later on tonight out in the Houston area. The Ricebirds, they beat Warden 41-18, and they beat Brian Rudder 30-0 in Week 2, and Ridge Spinrath is still around for the Ricebirds. He's made some big-time plays, but their defense has been the catalyst for this team. They made some big-time plays, whether it's on getting interceptions, fumbles, to make that work there for the Ricebirds there and Travis Reeves. So keep an eye there on the defensive side, though, to James Dordick and Gabe Figueroa. They've been big-time players to help out there on the defensive side, and they look to improve to 3-0 this season. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
This morning, there is an active manhunt for the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk during an event at Utah Valley University. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio is in Washington with the latest on the investigation.
This morning, a massive manhunt for the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk. The conservative activist was taking questions from students at Utah Valley University about mass shootings in America when a single shot rang out.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
Thousands were in the crowd watching as a witness recalled the horrific scene.
I was 15 feet away, and it was really hard to witness. As the guy said shooting or shooters or something like that, you just hear the gunshot and I'm sorry, you just see his neck just like open up, and there's just like so much blood that just came out. It was horrible.
The Utah Department of Public Safety initially took 2 people into custody but later released them. And as of this morning, the manhunt for the suspected shooter continues. A motive for the shooting remains unclear, but Utah Republican Governor Spencer Cox called it a political assassination.
Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States.
Charlie Kirk was a conservative commentator who founded Turning Point USA and who was known for reaching out to young conservative voters. He took a stand against abortion and most forms of immigration while stoking controversy by promoting election fraud claims, challenging LGBTQ rights, and ridiculing climate science. Earlier this year, Kirk saying his views put him at risk of violence.
You are potentially putting your safety, your well-being, and God forbid, your life in jeopardy for simply being a conservative on a college campus.
In Washington, lawmakers remembering Kirk with a moment of reflection. President Trump ordered flags around the country to be flown at half-staff. That moment of silence quickly turned into a shouting match, with one GOP lawmaker requesting the prayer be said out loud, while Democrats shouted for gun safety legislation. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
A local World War II veteran is recalling his early days of service in the Army. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with him to learn more.
Victoria veteran Ed Gregory set his sights on being in the Army at 17 years old amid World War II. Once in the Army, Gregory attended medical school and studied physiology and anatomy and worked in Okinawa, Japan. He remembers that time as educational and made him value life very differently.
We were able to identify the remains of unknowns because families were concerned about when they didn't hear about what happened to their loved one, and we were able to identify those, and then they would be informed that they were found, and that was a great relief to the families.
Gregory took pride in making sure the remains he sent to the families were accurate, and says it was important for him to send the correct remains that belonged to each family. He calls World War II a crucial part of U.S. history and says it changed people's livelihood.
I guess you know there was about 52 or 53 million people died in World War II because of one person. And it disrupted the families, and it changed the way of life and way things you had to do things to survive during the period of the World War.
Gregory says he's grateful for his experience and has learned a lot about how to deal with people's lives. Ray Mosley, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
Here are some of the top headlines in the Crow Record. All cities in DeWitt County saw increases in sales tax revenue for the year, and the Yorktown City Park gets upgrades. You can read these stories and more by visiting DeWittCountyToday.com. The time now, let's get a look at our clock up here. It is 6:47 on our Thursday morning. Still to come on Sunrise. A nation asks tough questions about safety, division, and the path forward. Happy birthday to Pat. Happy birthday on Pat. You are the best. Enjoy your big day from the Williams family.
Oh, happy birthday, Pat. And also happy birthday to Lauren. Happy birthday, Lauren. I hope your day is filled with love and laughter. Lots of love from Mom.
And happy birthday to Harry Connick Jr., the New Orleans-born musician and actor who has sold over 30 million records, turns 58 today.
Ooh, happy birthday, Harry Jr. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, you can come to crossroadstoday.com. Just click the drop-down menu, then click the Home tab, and then you'll see Submit Your Birthday Photo.
The time now, it is 6:48 on our Thursday morning. Happy birthday to Matt, and happy birthday to you if you're celebrating one.
That's right. Happy birthday, Matt, and also happy birthday to you. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, good morning, Crossroads. I'm sure a lot of y'all saw the 7-day forecast just a few moments ago, and you saw our weather is going to be looking pretty much, well, I guess about the same thing for the next several days. You don't believe me? Look at this. We're looking at highs staying at about 94/95 for the next several days. Low temperatures even 71/70 for the next several days. This is all for Victoria. Everyone in the western counties is probably going to be looking for highs in the upper 90s, lows maybe near 70. But we're going to be looking like that for the next several days thanks to what's called a stable atmosphere, which is because of high pressure moving over us. So pretty much we're looking at right where we're supposed to be for this time of year for high temperatures. We're only about 2 degrees above that. But something else that's supposed to be happening this time of year is hurricane activity. Right now, we're in the peak of hurricane season, y'all, at least according to the 170-year average. You see this week and also mainly last week as well. That's the peak that we would usually see hurricane activity out there. And right now, short term, nothing is happening. That's good news. Let's keep it like that, because in the long term, that might be a different story. I'm still tracking this little green bubble right here for very low confidence. Something might form in this area between late next week and next weekend. That's the 17th through the 21st of September. And that's going to form off of the remnants of a stalled cool front that's kind of draped over the Gulf, but it's going to meet up with a tropical wave coming off of South America. We'll have more on that next week, and also have more on this wave next week, because that's going to go out into the deep Atlantic. Like I said, more on that next week and more later on Sunrise.
This morning, the murder of Charlie Kirk is heightening concern about the rise in cases of political violence across the country. ABC's Andrea Fuigi has more.
This morning, the murder of Charlie Kirk is heightening concern about the rise in cases of political violence across the country.
Our nation is broken. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination.
Then candidate Trump was shot at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania last year. An audience member, firefighter Corey Comparator, was killed. Months later, a second attempt on Trump's life at his Florida golf course. The suspect is now on trial. This past June, a Minnesota state representative and her husband were shot and killed in their home. And in April, police say a man tried to kill Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, setting his home on fire.
This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. It is not okay, and it has to stop.
This year, threats against members of Congress are surging, with nearly 14,000 compared to 9,000 during all of last year. Many are asking, is the political temperature too hot? And is social media adding fuel to the fire?
A lot of it has to do, I think, with a fragmented media landscape. People can express their views on social media freely. And I think that breeds a certain amount of incivility and division.
Historian Mark Updegrove compares today's political divisions to the 1960s.
We saw the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963, Malcolm X in 1964, and Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy in 1968. It shook this country to its very foundations. And it was a time of great change and upheaval. Eventually, we came out of it. But I think we saw then that political violence was not the answer to our problems.
As for the threats against Congress, more funding has been allocated to boost security. Andrea Fujii, ABC News, New York.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. Today we're asking, have you experienced any form of political violence? 47% of you say yes, and 53% of you say no. Come to crosswordstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. What began as a simple argument in Dallas took a terrifying and gruesome turn. A violent crime out of Dallas sounds more like a horror film than reality. A man hit another man with a machete multiple times until he cut his head off. A witness said the incident started with an argument. 37-year-old Yardonis Cobas Martinez attacked a 50-year-old man with a weapon. Martinez has prior arrests for attempted carjacking and aggravated assault. Now he's being charged with capital murder. A new UNICEF report has found more school-aged children and adolescents are now obese than underweight. Researchers say obesity exceeds underweight in all regions of the world except sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. The highest rates of obesity are seen in some Pacific Island nations, Chile, the United States, and the United Arab Emirates. With the Fed set to meet next week to talk about interest rates, we get a key report this morning on the health of the economy. The Labor Department's Consumer Price Index is expected to show prices in August rose 0.3% compared to July. Experts think that it'll show consumer prices up nearly 3% compared to last year. And now let's get a final look at our forecast with Parker. Parker, how's it looking?
Well, we got a nice pretty sunrise over us this morning. All kinds of colors out there right now. Look at that. It's got some pink in there, got some yellow in there. And we're starting out the day nice, warm, and humid like we always do. 70 degrees, and the humidity is quite high at 97%, bringing us a little bit of patchy light fog around the area. So just be careful if you see any little bit thicker fog, which I don't think is going to be too much of out there this morning. That'll burn off around 8 a.m. and we're looking mostly sunny for the rest of the day with some spotty showers in the afternoon. So I'll let y'all decide if you want to bring your umbrella or not. Looking for 94 today in Port Lavaca, about the same thing in Victoria, 94 today. 20% is going to be our rain chance today. So maybe start checking the radar around noontime because that's right around when I think we'll see a few spotty showers form. For the rest of the week, we're looking a bit hot.
All right, thank y'all for being with us this morning. Join Shauna, Don, Maclovia, and Max today for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. And we now leave you with a live look at Ground Zero as the country marks 24 years since 9/11.